The German shepherd planted all four paws on the wet asphalt and bared his teeth at his own marine. Ethan Hayes froze beside the driver's door, rainwater sliding off the edge of his dark jacket, car keys still hanging from one hand. Rex had followed him through mortar fire overseas, through collapsing roads, through nights that smelled like smoke and burning steel. The dog had obeyed commands with machine precision for 8 years. But tonight, under the pale glow of a parking lot outside a VA outpatient clinic in northern Colorado, the old K9 stood in front of him like a wall and refused to move. Worse than that, he growled. Not at a stranger. Not at danger Ethan could see. At him. Before we begin, tell me where are watching from. Drop your country in the comments. I'd love to see how far this story travels. The October rain came down in a cold mist now. Thin enough to ignore. Heavy enough to sink into your bones if you stayed out too long. Ethan exhaled slowly. Rex. Calm voice. Controlled. Military habit. The German shepherd didn't react. Water darkened his sable coat. His ears stayed forward. Eyes fixed somewhere beyond Ethan's shoulder. Not on him. Past him. Ethan followed the line of sight. Empty parking spaces. Flickering light pole. A silver sedan near the far edge. Nothing else. Come on, buddy. Still nothing. A strange knot tightened low in Ethan's chest. Rex was 11 now. Older. Slower. Arthritis in the hips. A little gray pushing through around his muzzle. The vet had warned him months ago. Age changes working dogs. Ethan crouched beside him. Rain soaked through denim near his knee. You hurting? Rex didn't even look at him. That felt wrong. Really wrong. A gust of cold wind rolled through the parking lot carrying the smell of wet pavement and gasoline. Somewhere farther out, tires hissed against rain-soaked roads. A shopping cart clattered loose near the sidewalk. Rex shifted once. Muscles tight. Focus locked. Ethan stood slowly. PTSD, he muttered under his breath. Old ghosts. Old wiring. Maybe something inside Rex had finally crossed over into confusion. It happened, didn't it? He hated thinking it. Hated himself more for thinking it. The automatic doors behind him opened with a soft hydraulic hiss. 2 older veterans stepped outside laughing about football scores. One nodded toward Rex. Beautiful dog. Ethan forced a smile. Yeah, but Rex wasn't acting beautiful. He was acting like Afghanistan. Ethan knew the signs. Too still. Too aware. Too locked in. A memory surfaced hard and unwanted. Dust. Heat. One narrow road outside Sanjin. Rex freezing beside an armored vehicle 5 seconds before everything changed. Ethan swallowed. No, not tonight. Not here. Not in a quiet parking lot outside a clinic where old men complained about knee pain and nurses handed out blood pressure paperwork. Rex suddenly stepped sideways, blocking Ethan from opening the truck door. Again. Deliberate. Controlled. Ethan stared. What are you doing? The dog let out a low sound. Not fear. Not pain. Warning. Rainwater dripped from the edge of Ethan's hairline. His fingers tightened around the keys. The silver sedan near the far side of the parking lot flickered once. Headlights briefly flashed. Then darkness again. Ethan narrowed his eyes. Strange. Maybe remote start. Maybe nothing. Rex took 1 step forward. Ethan noticed something else then. A woman walking alone near row C. Mid-30s maybe. Dark coat. Hood up. Fast pace. Rex's body changed instantly. Ears sharper. Back straighter. One paw lifted slightly off the ground. Hunting posture. Ethan felt his pulse shift. Rex. The dog moved. Not running. Not pulling. Walking. Slow. Intentional. Toward the woman. Ethan grabbed the leash tighter. No. Rex kept going. Rain rolled harder now. The woman never looked back. Never checked her phone. Never looked around once. Just kept moving toward a silver sedan waiting under the farthest light pole in the lot. And for the first time all night, Ethan realized something that made the cold settle deeper into his ribs. Rex wasn't trying to stop him from leaving. Rex was trying to stop someone else. Ethan tightened his grip on the leash and stepped forward through the rain. Water rolled off the hood of parked cars in silver streams. The woman kept moving. Fast. Not running. Not looking back. Just moving with a strange purpose toward the far side of the parking lot where the old silver sedan sat beneath a flickering light. Rex moved beside Ethan with quiet determination now. No pulling. No barking. Somehow that felt worse. The German shepherd had gone completely silent. Ethan knew silence. Silence before mortar fire. Silence before bad news folded into a flag. Silence before life split into before and after. Easy, Ethan said softly. Easy, buddy. Rex did not even flick an ear toward him. The woman reached the sedan, opened the driver's side door, slid inside. Brake lights glowed red through rain. Ethan slowed. Embarrassment crept into his chest. Great. He was following a stranger through a parking lot because an aging military dog was acting strange. Maybe he had been wrong. Maybe the clinic therapist was right. Maybe he needed to stop seeing danger everywhere. The sedan backed out slowly, tires rolling through shallow water. Rex stopped moving. Ethan exhaled hard. See, he said quietly. Nothing. Then Rex stepped toward something near the curb. Ethan almost missed it. A small stuffed rabbit. Wet. Mud-stained. One ear torn. Sitting alone beside a storm drain. Ethan frowned. Strange. He bent down slowly. Picked it up. The fabric felt cold and soaked through. Not unusual. Kids dropped toys everywhere. Except this parking lot sat nearly empty. And the toy was dry underneath. Not soaked. Like it had landed there recently. Very recently. Rex lowered his nose toward the pavement. Sniffed once. Twice. Then moved. Faster now. Ethan felt the leash tighten hard. Rex. The dog ignored him. Ethan followed. 20 feet. 30. Past a dark pickup truck. Past an empty shopping cart rocking slowly in wind. Then Rex stopped beside a parking space near row D. Empty. Nothing there. Except Ethan noticed it too. A tiny pink sneaker. Children's size. Resting sideways near the painted line. Rainwater gathered inside it. Ethan stared at it longer than he should have. Something cold slid quietly into his stomach. One shoe. One stuffed rabbit. Separate places. Same direction. Rex lifted his head. Watching. Listening. Ethan slowly looked around. Rain softened sounds. Distant highway traffic hummed beyond trees. Lining the clinic property. Light reflected off wet asphalt like broken glass. Empty spaces. Dark spaces. Quiet spaces. Too quiet. A truck engine started somewhere behind him. Ethan turned quickly. Nothing unusual. Just an older man leaving. Normal. Everything normal. Right. His fingers tightened around the tiny sneaker. Rex suddenly moved again. Faster. Ethan nearly lost balance. Rex. The dog pulled hard around the corner of a maintenance building bordering the far side of the lot. Hidden from main traffic. Hidden from the clinic entrance. Ethan rounded the corner and stopped cold. A dark blue minivan sat alone near the edge fence. Engine off. Windows fogged slightly from inside. Nothing unusual. Except Rex planted himself directly beside the passenger door. Tail rigid. Eyes locked. Ethan stepped closer slowly. Rain tapped softly against metal. Wind moved dead leaves across concrete. Then he saw it. Tiny fingerprints smeared through condensation inside the rear passenger window. Small. Fresh. His heartbeat changed instantly. Hello. Ethan called carefully. Nothing. Rex shifted. Low sound building deep in his chest again. Ethan moved closer to the glass. Rain rolled down the window in crooked lines. Hard to see. Hard to tell. Then movement. Barely movement. Something small. Somewhere inside. Ethan froze. The same feeling from years ago moved through him again. Not fear. Recognition. That feeling soldiers learn never to ignore. Rex already knew. Somehow Rex had known all along. Ethan moved closer to the glass slowly. Rainwater slid down the window in crooked silver trails, bending reflections from the parking lot lights until everything looked distorted. Wrong. His own face stared back at him for a second. Tired eyes. Wet jacket. Gray beginning at his temples earlier than he wanted to admit. Then movement again. Small. Quick. Inside. Rex stood perfectly still beside him. No barking now. No growling. Somehow that felt worse. Ethan lifted one hand toward the window. Knocked gently. Once. Nothing. He tried again. Slightly louder. Hello. Wind rolled through the edge of the lot, carrying cold air and the faint smell of wet cedar from trees beyond the clinic. Property. Still nothing. Then Rex shifted. One step left. Nose toward the rear passenger side door. Ethan followed. His pulse felt heavier now. Controlled. But heavier. He crouched lower. Leaned closer toward the fogged glass. A shape. Small shoulders maybe. Or a coat. Hard to tell. Rain blurred everything. Then he saw it. A tiny handprint again. Fresh condensation disturbed from inside. His stomach tightened. No, he whispered under his breath. No way. Colorado nights drop temperature fast in October, especially after rain. The cold came harder once daylight disappeared. Ethan glanced toward the digital bank sign across the road. 41 degrees. Falling. His military brain started doing math automatically. Enclosed vehicle. Wet air. Temperature dropping. Time mattered now. Very suddenly time mattered. He reached for the passenger door handle. Locked. Rear handle. Locked. He stepped back. Looked around. Empty. Too empty. The clinic entrance sat nearly 200 feet away across rain-soaked pavement. The maintenance building blocked half the view. No cameras that he could immediately see. No security nearby. Just cold wind. Rain. Wrecks. And something that did not make sense. Ethan pulled his phone out fast. His fingers felt slower than they should have. Wet. Cold. He hit emergency services. Then stopped. His thumb hovered. What exactly was he reporting? A feeling? A shadow? Condensation? A dog acting strange? He hated uncertainty. Hated it more now than he ever had overseas. Because overseas uncertainty kept people alive. Here it made you look crazy. Rex suddenly moved. Fast. Ethan turned immediately. The German Shepherd had left the van, crossing 15 feet toward something near the curb line. Ethan followed. Rex lowered his nose toward pavement. Rainwater streamed through painted parking lines. There. Another discovery. A small backpack. Purple. Child-sized. Half hidden beside a concrete barrier near the fence. Ethan picked it up. Lightweight. Wet. One zipper partially open. A coloring book inside. Crayons. Small headphones tangled near the bottom pocket. Ethan froze when he saw the name written carefully on a paper tag attached near the handle. Lily. Age 6. Ethan looked back toward the van immediately. Something cold slid through his chest now. Not fear. Not yet. Something heavier. Emotional weight. Responsibility. The thing soldiers carried long after service ended. The quiet voice asking one question over and over. If you saw something wrong and walked away, could you live with it later? Rex returned beside him again. Water dripped from his muzzle. His amber eyes never left the vehicle. Ethan remembered another night. Years ago, Sanjin District. Rex freezing beside a narrow dirt road while younger Marines kept walking. Ethan trusted him then. Trusted instinct over comfort. Trusted silence over appearances. That choice brought people home. Wind pushed harder through the parking lot now. Ethan looked toward the van again. One thought hit him suddenly. Hard enough to steal breath for half a second. If somebody left a child here by accident, how long had that child already been alone? He moved fast now. No hesitation. No second guessing. Phone back out. Security first. Emergency services next. Rain soaked through his jacket completely as he crossed back toward the van. Rex moved beside him without leash tension now. Calm. Focused. Certain. Ethan reached the rear passenger window again. Pressed one hand against cold glass. Leaned closer. And this time, he heard it. Very faint. Small enough another person might miss it entirely. One soft sound. Barely louder than rain. Crying. Ethan held perfectly still. Rain tapped softly against metal and pavement and leaves and distant rooftops. But beneath it all came that sound again. Faint. Fragile. A child crying. Not loudly. Not panicked. Worse than panic. Tired. Weak. Like someone who had been waiting too long. Ethan stepped back from the van immediately. Training moved through him before thought could catch up. Control breathing. Assess. Do not rush mistakes. But another voice moved against that discipline now. The quiet one. The human one. What if waiting cost time they did not have? Rex stood beside the rear passenger door without moving. Rain darkened the fur along his shoulders. 11 years old. Aching hips. Slower than before. Yet somehow he had seen what nobody else had seen. Ethan pressed his phone to his ear. Emergency dispatch answered almost immediately. Calm voice. Familiar procedure. Location. Situation. Description. Ethan gave everything quickly. Child possibly alone inside vehicle. Unknown condition. Needs security immediately. The dispatcher asked questions he could not answer. How old? How long alone? Medical emergency. Guardian nearby? Ethan hated every answer. I do not know. The words felt heavier each time. Sir, do not force entry unless there is immediate danger. Ethan stared through rain toward fogged glass. Immediate danger. The phrase landed hard. 40 degrees now. Wet night. Small child. Unknown time inside. Immediate danger felt less like a question and more like a clock. Red and blue reflections had not appeared yet. Security had not arrived. Nobody was coming fast enough. Ethan moved closer again, pressed one hand against rear window. Hey. Calm voice. Strong voice. You are okay. Help is here. Nothing. Then movement. Small movement. Barely visible through condensation. Ethan crouched lower. Can you hear me? Silence. Rain. Wind. Then something new. Tiny fingers touched glass from inside. Ethan froze completely. 5 small fingerprints. One hand. Then gone. His throat tightened instantly. Rex let out the quietest sound Ethan had heard all night. Not warning. Not alarm. Concern. Deep. Instinctive concern. Ethan looked toward the clinic entrance. Still empty. Too far away. Why had security not arrived yet? The parking lot suddenly felt enormous. Open space somehow becoming isolation. His phone buzzed. Unknown number. Clinic security returning dispatch contact. Sir, we are sending someone around back now. How long? 2 to 3 minutes. 2 to 3 minutes. Ethan looked toward the van again. Rain felt colder now. Harder. Time stretched strangely under pressure. Seconds growing sharp edges. Then Rex moved suddenly. Hard enough to pull Ethan half a step sideways. The German Shepherd walked toward the front driver's side corner of the van. Nose low. Focus intense. Ethan followed immediately. Discovery. Another detail. Another thing that felt wrong. The windshield wipers sat. Lifted halfway off glass. Frozen there. Strange. Engine cold now. Rain collecting. Ethan looked closer. There. A parking permit hanging near dashboard. Children's Museum downtown. Expired hours ago. A paper cup sat near center console. Empty juice pouch beside it. Small blanket near rear seat. Ethan felt something shift inside him. This was not carelessness anymore. This was a story. A timeline. Missing pieces. Questions stacking faster than answers. Then came the rehook that changed everything. A woman ran around the maintenance building toward them. Hood soaked through. Breathing hard. Mid-30s. Dark coat. Ethan recognized her instantly. The woman from earlier. The one Rex followed. She stopped cold when she saw Ethan beside the van. Saw Rex. Saw the backpack still hanging from Ethan's hand. For 1 second nobody moved. Rain moved. Wind moved. Nobody else. Then she whispered something almost too quiet to hear. Lily. Ethan felt his heartbeat hit harder once. Just once. The woman stepped forward immediately. Fear in her eyes now. Real fear. Not guilt. Not panic. Fear. My daughter, she said quietly. Where is my daughter? Rain rolled off the edge of the woman's hood as she stepped closer. Not too close. Just enough for Ethan to see what fear actually looked like when it belonged to a parent. Pale face. Shaking hands. Eyes moving from the backpack hanging from his grip to the van to Rex and back again. Lily. She whispered once more, voice thinner now. Where is Lily? Ethan held up the small purple backpack slowly. Water dripped from the zipper onto the pavement below. Your daughter. The woman nodded immediately. Too quickly to fake. She was with me. Her breath caught hard. She was right beside me. Ethan felt something inside his chest tighten. What happened? The woman pushed wet hair back from her face with trembling fingers. I took her to the Children's Museum downtown. Her eyes moved toward the van again. She wanted hot chocolate after. Rain tapped softly against metal. Wind moved dead, leaves near the fence line. Rex had not moved an inch. We stopped here because my sister works nights at the clinic. The woman swallowed hard. I was bringing something to her. Ethan listened carefully. Military instinct. Details mattered. Timing mattered. Lily was next to me. Her voice cracked. 1 second. She pressed both hands against her forehead. Just 1 second. Ethan looked toward the van. The crying had stopped. Somehow that felt worse. I turned around. Tears mixed with rain now. She was gone. Ethan stared at her quietly. Missing pieces moved slowly into place. Children's Museum permit. Backpack. Small shoe. Stuffed rabbit. The woman noticed the tiny sneaker near Ethan's feet. The sound she made then barely reached above the rain. Not loud. Not dramatic. Somehow harder than that. Real. That is hers. Ethan looked toward the van again immediately. Security still had not arrived. Emergency vehicles still had not arrived. Time moved strangely now. Too fast and too slow together. What is your name? Ethan asked carefully. Emily. Emily, he said quietly. I need you to stay calm. Is she in there? The question landed between them heavier than rain. Ethan did not answer immediately, because he did not know. Because soldiers learned long ago that guessing could hurt people. Rex suddenly shifted position. One slow step, then another. Ethan watched carefully. The German Shepherd moved away from the passenger side, circled slowly toward the rear of the van. Nose low, focused, intent. Rex. Ethan followed immediately. Emily behind him now. The parking lot lights buzzed overhead. Wind pushed colder through the back corner near the maintenance fence. 40 degrees had become 39. Ethan rounded the rear bumper, then stopped. Discovery. Another piece. Another thing that made no sense. The rear hatch sat fully closed, but near the lower edge where metal met rubber seal, a small strip of pink fabric stuck out. Tiny, barely visible. Emily covered her mouth instantly. Her jacket. Ethan crouched lower. Heartbeat steady. Training steady. Mind racing. Lily. Emily called softly. Sweetheart. Nothing. Rain. Wind. Silence. Then Rex did something Ethan had not seen in years. The old German Shepherd lowered himself completely to the pavement beside the rear hatch. Head tilted. Ears forward. Listening. Deep listening. Working dog listening. The kind that once found danger no machine could find. Ethan moved closer beside him. Then he heard it too. Faint. Not crying now. Something else. Soft. Rhythmic. Music. Children's music. Almost too quiet to hear beneath rain. Emily collapsed to one knee beside Ethan. She falls asleep listening to songs, she whispered. Ethan closed his eyes for half a second. Lily was there. She had to be there. But another thought hit him immediately after. Hard enough to steal warmth from his hands. If Lily was inside, why had nobody heard her before now? Why had Rex known long before anyone else? The music stopped. Rain kept falling. Thin cold rain that turned parking lot lights into blurred halos across black pavement. Ethan could hear Emily breathing beside him now. Fast. Uneven. Fear had a sound. He had learned that years ago. Sometimes fear shouted. Sometimes it whispered. Tonight it whispered. Rex never moved from the rear hatch. 11 years old. Aching joints. Gray around his muzzle. But something inside him had locked onto one truth and refused to let go. Ethan placed one hand carefully against the back hatch. Cold metal. Rainwater. Nothing else. Lily. Emily called again softly. Sweetheart, it is Mommy. Silence. Then something shifted inside. Small. Faint. Emily covered her mouth immediately. Tears mixed with rain along her cheeks. Lily. Ethan reached for the emergency dispatch line again. Child confirmed inside vehicle, he said quickly. Need immediate response. Units arriving now, dispatch answered. Ethan looked toward the clinic entrance. Nothing. Still nothing. Too slow. Everything felt too slow. Rex suddenly stood. Not alarmed. Focused. He moved one step left. Toward the driver's side rear wheel. Nose low. Ethan followed automatically. Then he saw it. Another detail. Another thing that made no sense. A bright orange medical bag partly hidden beneath the van. Small. Compact. Almost invisible against shadows and rain. Ethan crouched fast. Pulled it out carefully. Emily froze beside him. No. Ethan looked up immediately. What? Her face had changed. Fear shifting into something else now. Realization. That belongs to Lily. Ethan looked down. Medical supply pouch. Clear label. Lily Carter. Type 1 diabetes emergency kit. Cold slid quietly through Ethan's chest. Everything changed. Every strange detail. Every missing piece. The children's museum. The rushed stop. The backpack. The crying that faded. The silence now. How long? Ethan asked carefully. Emily stared at the pouch like it belonged to another life. She was diagnosed last year. Her voice trembled harder now. Sometimes she gets confused when her sugar drops. Ethan looked toward the hatch immediately. How confused. Emily swallowed hard. She hides. Rain seemed louder suddenly. Wind colder. Ethan remembered the stuffed rabbit. The shoe. Small clues left behind like breadcrumbs no one noticed. No one except Rex. She hides when she feels scared. Emily whispered. Closets. Blankets. Small spaces. Ethan turned slowly toward the van. Cargo space. Third row folded down. Dark tinted glass. Hidden from view. Hidden enough for someone tired and confused and frightened to disappear inside without anyone realizing. Hidden enough for a mother carrying too much guilt to miss one terrible moment. No. Emily whispered. No, no, no. Her knees nearly gave out. Ethan caught her arm gently. Listen to me. Calm voice. Marine voice. Stay with me. Red and blue lights finally turned the edge of Rain's silver and crimson. Security. Emergency response. Movement. Voices. But Rex never looked away from the van. Not once. Ethan suddenly understood something else too. Something that hit harder than cold rain or old memories. Earlier, the woman Rex followed. Emily. Rex had not been warning Ethan away from danger. He had been following fear. Following distress. Following the person connected to the child. Just like overseas. Not explosives. Not danger. People. Human need. Human panic. Human truth hidden beneath noise. Emergency responders moved quickly now. Calm voices. Controlled hands. Proper tools. Ethan stepped back beside Rex. Rain soaked through everything. One responder opened the hatch carefully. Emily could not even breathe. Ethan could not either. Then came the sound. Small. Sleepy. Confused. Mommy. Emily. Broke. Not loudly. Quietly. The way real relief happens when terror finally lets go. A little girl sat curled beneath a blanket near the folded cargo space. Pale. Weak. Sleepy. Headphones still around her neck. Music player beside one hand. Safe. Alive. Cold but safe. Lily blinked slowly toward Rain and flashing lights and strangers, and one old German shepherd standing perfectly still beneath falling water. Doggy, she whispered softly. Rex lowered his head. Come now. Finished. But Ethan stared at him differently now. Because one question still remained. The one thing he still could not explain. How had Rex known before anyone else? Rain still fell long after the emergency lights stopped feeling urgent. The parking lot had changed without changing at all. Same wet pavement. Same flickering light above row D. Same cold October wind moving across concrete and empty spaces. But fear had left. Relief sat where fear had been. Quiet relief. Heavy relief. The kind that left people shaking after danger passed. Emily sat wrapped in a clinic blanket near the ambulance while Lily leaned against her shoulder half asleep. Color slowly returning to her face. One small hand still holding the stuffed rabbit someone had found near the storm drain. The torn ear hung loose beside her fingers. Ethan stood farther back beneath cold rain beside Rex. Neither moved much. Emergency responders spoke softly nearby. Questions. Forms. Procedures. Life returning to order. That was always the strange thing. Crisis felt endless while it happened. Then suddenly the world kept moving. Cars passed beyond the road. Wind moved leaves. A helicopter crossed somewhere far above cloud cover. Ordinary life continuing while one family quietly stepped back from the edge of losing something they never could have replaced. Rex slowly lowered himself onto wet pavement beside Ethan's boots. Slower than before. Ethan noticed it immediately. The careful movement. The stiffness. The age. Rain darkened gray fur around the German shepherd's muzzle. 11 years old. Older now than Ethan liked admitting. Older than working dogs were supposed to carry burdens. Older than heroes usually looked in stories. Ethan crouched beside him slowly, one knee pressing into wet asphalt, one hand resting against thick fur near Rex's shoulder. Warm beneath rain. Familiar beneath rain. You knew, Ethan said quietly. Rex blinked once. Calm. Tired. Finished. But Ethan could not let it go. Could not stop replaying everything. The parking lot. The woman. The backpack. The shoe. The rabbit. The van. Lily. One detail sat heavier than everything else. Rex had known before the crying. Before the handprint. Before the music. Before anyone understood. Ethan swallowed hard. Memory moved quietly through him. Sanjin District. 12 years earlier. Heat instead of rain. Dust instead of cold wind. Young Marines walking ahead laughing about coffee back home. Rex freezing beside a road no different than 100 others. Ethan remembering frustration first. Then confusion. Then understanding seconds later when danger revealed itself. Back then people called Rex gifted. Special. Extraordinary. Ethan never believed that. He believed training. Discipline. Repetition. Skill. But tonight felt different. Emily walked slowly toward them carrying Lily now wrapped tighter in blankets. Lily looked smaller than before somehow. Children always did after fear. Emily stopped beside Ethan. Rain moved gently between them. I still cannot understand how he knew, she whispered quietly. Ethan looked down toward Rex. Me neither. Lily lifted sleepy eyes toward the German shepherd. He heard me. Ethan almost smiled. Maybe. Lily shook her head softly against her mother's shoulder. No. Small voice. Certain voice. I was scared. Wind moved across pavement again. I got cold. Ethan listened quietly. I did not cry first. Lily rubbed tired eyes. I prayed first. Everything became very still after that. Strange how some moments arrived quietly and still changed everything. Emily lowered her eyes. Ethan looked toward Rex slowly. Rain rolled from one ear. The old dog rested his head near Ethan's boot now. Tired. Peaceful. Ethan remembered something then. Something he had not thought about in years. Afghanistan. One terrible winter night after losing someone good. Ethan sitting alone outside temporary barracks lawn. After everyone else slept. Rex younger then. Stronger then. Walking over quietly. Sitting beside him without command. Without instruction. Without training. Just staying. Ethan never told anyone about that night. Soldiers carried certain things silently. But now standing beside cold rain and parking lot lights and one little girl wrapped safely in blankets, he remembered. Human fear. Human grief. Human need. Somehow Rex always found it first. Emily suddenly knelt beside the old German shepherd, one hand gently touching thick wet fur. Thank you, she whispered. Lily leaned forward carefully, small fingers brushing gray fur near his neck. Rex opened tired eyes once, wagged his tail exactly one time, then rested again. Ethan stared quietly at his friend beneath falling rain. Because one truth sat heavier than mystery now. Maybe Rex had never stopped protecting people. And maybe Ethan had spent years believing age had taken things away from him that had never left at all. 3 days later, sunlight finally returned to northern Colorado. The storm had moved east. Pavement dried. Trees near the clinic carried gold and amber leaves instead of cold rain. Life had resumed its ordinary rhythm the way life always did. People arrived late for appointments. Nurses carried coffee cups through automatic doors. Delivery trucks rolled through side entrances. Nothing outside suggested that one quiet parking lot had almost become the place where a family lost something impossible to replace. Ethan sat on a weathered bench near the edge of a walking trail behind his house, while Rex rested beside him beneath pale afternoon light. Wind moved slowly through pine branches overhead. The old German shepherd slept harder lately, longer lately, age settling deeper into his bones one season at a time. Ethan held a warm paper cup between both hands. Coffee cooling faster than he drank it. His phone buzzed once. Message from Emily. A picture. Lily smiling beside a giant pumpkin nearly bigger than she was. Color back in her face. Jacket zipped crooked because children never cared about details adults worried over. Another picture followed. Lily holding a stuffed rabbit with one torn ear. Stitched carefully back together. Ethan smiled quietly. Rex opened one eye beside him. One slow tail tap against fallen leaves. Yeah, Ethan said softly. Good news. Wind carried wood smoke from somewhere farther down the valley. October settling deeper now. Colder mornings. Earlier sunsets. Ethan looked toward Rex again. He still could not stop thinking about that night. Emergency responders said instinct. Security staff said training. Emily called it grace. Lily called it prayer. Ethan did not know what to call it. That bothered him more than he expected. Because Marines liked answers. Facts. Patterns. Explanations that held steady under pressure. But some things refused to fit inside neat lines. His phone buzzed again. New message this time from the clinic director. Security footage available if requested. Ethan stared at the screen longer than necessary. Part of him wanted to let it go. Leave mystery where mystery belonged. Another part needed to know. Needed facts. Needed certainty. 40 minutes later, he sat inside a quiet office watching grainy parking lot footage play across a monitor. Security camera angle from near row C rain. Cars. People moving through ordinary life. Ethan watched himself leave the clinic. Watched Rex freeze near the truck. Watched Emily crossing through rain farther away. Watched the silver sedan pull out. Watched Rex move. Focused. Intent. Then Ethan leaned forward slowly. Frame by frame. Something he had missed. Something nobody mentioned. Lily. Tiny figure. Pink jacket. Walking slowly near the maintenance building nearly 15 minutes before Ethan ever reached the van. Alone. Confused. Small steps. Small body. One stuffed rabbit slipping from her arm. Ethan watched her disappear briefly behind parked vehicles. Then another camera angle picked her up. Lily climbing quietly into the cargo area after finding the unlocked rear hatch while searching for her mother. Fear, confusion, rain. Child thinking small space meant safe space. Ethan exhaled slowly. Answers. Mostly answers. Mostly. Then he saw one thing that stopped him cold. Timestamp. 7:22 p.m. Rex froze near Ethan's truck exactly 7:22. Exact. Second. Before Lily cried. Before backpack. Before shoe. Before music. Before anyone knew. Ethan stared at the screen without moving. That is impossible, he whispered quietly. Nobody answered because nobody sat beside him. Evening settled slowly outside clinic windows by the time Ethan drove home. Orange sky fading behind mountain lines. Peaceful. Quiet. Rex slept most of the drive. When they reached home, Ethan opened the passenger door carefully. The old German shepherd climbed down slower than he used to. One careful step at a time. Ethan knelt beside him in cold evening air. One hand resting gently against thick gray fur. You are going to keep some secrets, he said softly. Rex looked toward him calmly. Same eyes. Same quiet steadiness. Same dog who once found danger before soldiers could see it. Same dog who somehow still heard things other people missed. Wind moved through pine trees overhead. Somewhere far away a child laughed. Rex lifted his head toward the sound. Listening. Winter arrived quietly that year. Not all at once. Not with blizzards or heavy storms. Just colder mornings. Longer shadows. Frost gathering along fence posts before sunrise. Ethan noticed it the way people notice time after 40. Not suddenly. Slowly. One ordinary day at a time. Rex moved slower now. Not weak. Not fragile. Just older. The kind of older earned honestly. The German shepherd still followed Ethan everywhere. To the mailbox. To the hardware store. To the small diner off Route 34 where the waitress always brought Rex a cup of water before Ethan even ordered coffee. Some things became tradition without people realizing it. November faded toward Christmas. One afternoon Ethan found himself back near the clinic. Not for therapy this time. Just passing through after picking up dog medication 2 towns over. The parking lot looked smaller somehow. Less mysterious. Less haunted. Rain gone. Winter sunlight stretched pale across empty spaces where fear once lived. Ethan parked near row D without thinking. Habit maybe. Memory maybe. Rex sat quietly in the passenger seat, watching people move in and out through automatic doors. Ethan turned off the truck engine. Silence settled. Around them. The good kind. The kind soldiers spent years trying to find after noise lived inside them too long. His phone buzzed softly. Picture message. Emily. Lily standing beside a school holiday project, holding a paper star nearly bigger than her head. Smiling wide. Strong again. Another picture followed seconds later. Lily beside a Christmas tree holding one stuffed rabbit with the torn ear still stitched carefully back together. Underneath the picture, Emily wrote 4 words. She still talks about him. Ethan looked toward Rex slowly. Gray for caught afternoon sunlight along his face now. More gray than before. More years than before. The old German shepherd opened one eye. Tail tapped once against the truck seat. Ethan smiled quietly. You hear that? Rex blinked slowly. Same calm eyes. Same quiet steadiness. Ethan stepped out into cold December air. Wind moved lightly through empty parking rows. Strange how places kept memories. Hospitals. Roads. Houses. Parking lots. Places remembered things people tried to forget. He walked slowly toward the far edge near the maintenance building. Toward the place where one ordinary night became something none of them would ever completely explain. The storm drain still sat near the curb. Same place they found the rabbit. Same fence line. Same distant mountain outline beyond clinic property. Ethan stood there longer than he meant to. Cold air settling into his jacket collar. Memory settling somewhere deeper. Rex walked beside him carefully now. Slower steps. But still beside him. Always beside him. Then something small happened. Something ordinary. The kind of thing people missed when they hurried too much. Across the parking lot near the entrance, a young father struggled with grocery bags while holding one little boy by the hand. The boy slipped free for half a second. Started moving too quickly toward traffic lanes cutting across the lot. Not danger. Not emergency. Just life happening fast the way life always did. Ethan noticed it. Same second Rex noticed it. The old German shepherd stopped walking immediately. Head lifted. Ears forward. Watching. Waiting. Focused. Ethan looked at him quietly. Cold wind moved between them. You never really stopped, he said softly. Rex turned toward him slowly. For 1 second, Ethan saw something he had seen years earlier beneath foreign skies and hard years and difficult seasons. Purpose. Not training. Not instinct. Something quieter. Something older than commands. The sun dropped lower behind distant trees. Gold light stretched long shadows across empty pavement. Ethan rested one hand gently against gray fur near Rex's shoulder. Warm beneath winter air. Familiar beneath winter air. Somewhere behind them a child laughed. Somewhere farther away tires moved across pavement. Ordinary sounds. Ordinary life. Rex lifted his head once toward the fading light beyond the parking lot. Listening. Like maybe the world still needed him. Or maybe Ethan did. On a cold Colorado night, a U.S. Marine and his aging German shepherd discover that courage does not always arrive with noise and heroes do not always wear uniforms. When one ordinary parking lot becomes the center of fear and unanswered questions, a loyal military dog senses something nobody else can see and refuses to walk away. As mystery turns into hope, this emotional journey reveals the bond between a Marine and his K-9 partner through sacrifice, trust, instinct, and quiet grace. Filled with heart suspense and unforgettable moments, this story belongs with the best animal stories for viewers who love loyalty, redemption, and emotional storytelling. If you watch animal stories about dogs, heroes, family, and second chances, this unforgettable experience delivers powerful emotion. From hidden clues to life-changing moments, this is one of those animal stories that stays with people long after it ends. Discover why animal stories about loyalty and courage continue to inspire millions. 4. People who believe love, protection, and faith can appear in unexpected ways. These animal stories remind us that sometimes the quietest souls hear what the world misses.